I think we can beat anyone. Playing with heart, determination, stuff like that. You know, the winning plays. All of us can go out there and be insane players and frag and kill everyone, but it comes down to the tiny things in the game that can change a whole series.
I think we're a team that's very gritty. Like, we work through a lot of slow starts. So, you know, we're notorious for losing map ones. Whenever we win the first map, it's cause for celebration for us. But, you know, like I said, people count us out all the time, but they're not the ones that are playing in the server. We know what we're capable of, and we're here to have fun.
Our first ever Grand Finals here for College Valorant, and of course, Dryad, the players, they bless us with a Game 5, which is so much more than just a Game 5.
It is the first time that we get to see the players right here at the Riot Games Arena, and they go all the way to 5 maps. There's so many things to talk about, right? One of them being a Northwood that never got pushed this far,
Yep.
a Pearl for the last and final map, and the possibilities here between the two with a Northwood that got some momentum, and for the last map, they do not want to let it go.
And something that we've been talking about, the reverse sweep, the possibility of it. It's there. At the very least, Winthrop have given us that. As we jump on into our Agent Select, Dryad, you were asking, do we get changes from this Northwood University squad?
Yeah.
And that we do.
Wait, hold up. Let me wait for Nasty before
okay.
saying anything else. Come on, Nasty, what are you gonna do for this one? Surely he's not the Reyna again.
What else would he play?
Surely he's not the Yoru. Okay, it's gonna be the Fade instead, locked in by Nasty. And one thing that I wanted to mention is last times where we got to see Northwood playing this map, it was first on the Raze. And I was so worried when we got to see that and when I was looking at the last agents that he was playing here, because the Jet is a must. I mean, we've seen it internationally, we've seen it in Americas, we've seen it in collegiate, everybody going for this Jet play. And this even double duelist, this double wall composition, there you're gonna see on both sides. So the big difference maker here is gonna be how those initiators are gonna play out, and a Fade that has slowly but surely made its way into Americas. It was a Fade that was meta. You know, last year we got to see it a bunch, then died completely. And recently, it was the Fade that has been introduced by tier 2 teams. You see it in challengers, and now you see it at the top of collegiate.
And a player that talked about how much they enjoy playing under pressure and how they play the best. That being Dip, the IGL of Northwood. Dip might be comfortable there. Dip might be comfortable with the world on his shoulders. But how does Northwood as a whole feel in this situation? They've never been pushed this far, and they have to come out of a 2-game slump where Winthrop just continue to march forward. Our last map here, Pearl, being map 5, starts with Winthrop on the attack once more. Some changes here as Flair will be rocking the Astra instead of the Harbor. Nazi obviously on that Fade. It didn't give us the spicy that we were hoping for, but still keeping it nice and spicy. But this is it. It's all for the players to leave it on the server in map 5. The barriers are down. The pistol is underway, and it is quick out towards mid.
And towards Link as well, the quick reaction that had to take place from Dark, as somebody that has been there pretty much always in the right place, right time with the team of Northwood was finding success. But now, forced to back up just a little bit. And now you get to see that Fade util, similar to what you would have with that Sky, right? With the Prowler clearing out just a little bit more.
Oh, and Darkness doing it again through the smokes, much like what we saw on Split. He picks up.
And the off angle.
They left off there. And he's backed away. He's looking to play with his teammate. Winthrop, though, they're not giving up this B site push just yet.
And they could be pinched here, so the timing has to be perfect for the swing of Benji. And Darkest, they get the 2, they stay alive. Darkest goes down now.
Look who's alive. A77. Nazi here. A77 disconnected for just a moment. 1 nano swarm to play with once they get this spike planted, but 3 players still alive for the side of Northwood, and one of them is playing around the world. The backstabber on the corner, we'll see if A77 is ready for this. He's not looking the right direction. Nazi takes the first fight, can't quite win it. Turret's been dealt with. A77 now sets his eyes, but it doesn't matter. Cleaned up, taken down. Ferbsa not needed. The pistol round belongs to Northwood.
Again, taking back those pistol rounds in the last couple maps, they've been pretty much impossible with insane clutches with plays from an A77. But for this one, it belongs to Northwood. On that retake, they play it well. The timing as well for that Jet to be behind and pushing from long, plays a crossfire and secures that first round. Now, how many more can they get in a row? We've seen the bonus, we've seen the anti-eco, and actually, this time around, it's a force as well with the stingers for Winthrop.
Well, yeah, this is really the first of its kind that we've seen on the day. 4 stingers, a sheriff in the hands of A77. We know very comfortable with that weapon. And again, quick out towards mid. This time, though, they're not headed Darkest's direction. They'll head the opposite way out towards the A site, but space has been traded elsewhere. A77 forced to reload, can't get out of dodge, so he's been taken down. But Winthrop want to keep fighting for this. Prowlers are out.
And they swap sides, basically.
They absolutely swap sides here. Spike yet planted, though. They're still hanging on to it. They took it to fight out towards A main. And look at the backstab here. What is happening? What is happening? Darkest does it again. This map, this round, this A site completely flipped the scramble. And at the end of it all, a 2v2 is where we land.
And Ferbsa just has a sheriff to work with right now. 40 HP, not the most beneficial across the site.
And I think both players heard it in shooting the eye there. Flare and Nazi get it done. The force pays off. Winthrop tie us up.
Every time that I see that Stinger by, every time that I see that force, I have to worry. But Winthrop, they make it look easy. They go all the way around the attacking side and the defense. They swap sides completely. And Dark has tried going massive towards Flowers. Not enough. The wraparound was the big difference maker for Flare. And that was a little bit of their own medicine.
Yes, that was Winthrop stealing Northwood swag, winning a second round, taking the momentum once more away from Northwood. It's been all momentum for Winthrop the last couple of maps, and they make sure that although they lose the pistol round, they get wind in their sails once more, but Darkest continues to deliver. Early kill onto Nazi, traded out, but Ferbsa back for a trade of his own, and it's Winthrop finding themselves 2 players down.
With the presence early on towards mid. And in Northwood, it seems like going back to what we saw into the earlier maps, right? Being so proactive on that attacking side, going for the 3-man flank if needed, just to guarantee the kills, at least the trades. But that's not where Winthrop wanted to go. Where the sheriff's hit, it seems like the change is near, and Benji that has to back up from it.
Yeah, Benji, a scary site anchor. Mentioned earlier in the show, if you see this guy, you want to head the other direction, and that's exactly why. Comey gives him too much. He's been decapitated. A77 able to get that kill back, but numbers still favor Northwood. In a round, they should have no right in winning. They've got themselves a couple of weapons, but those weapons have been stripped away. Meanwhile, Ferbsa will try his hand with the trusty sheriff at his side. 2 players in front of him, and a spike that continues to tick. The sound that you cannot get out of your head. A tap on the spike. The first one just about dealt with Flare on the swing. And Flare keeps his own momentum moving forward.
I know we talked about the pressure that Dip actually likes to feel in situations like this one, but also on the other side, we talked about Akomi that, sure, so far has not been able to find the kills, but this is kind of coming the usual now. Out of nowhere, he's gonna step up, and this is his comfort. When he's playing that Viper, he talked about it. This is when he feels the best, and in a map number 5, when the stakes are high, you can expect this Viper to do just a lot more on that attacking side. Once again, proactive towards A. The couple bodies for that presence on B, making sure the push is not going to happen. A Hunt as well doesn't spot anything, so that means that that Viper can back up for a second.
You cannot peek this dry. Fortunately, as that wall fades, Ferbsa wasn't quite ready for the angle that Winthrop were playing, and a huge kill for Moobs. Ferbsa taken down, that's the operator gone. But most importantly, 1 defender less to worry about for Winthrop as they back away.
And there's two still there. Two still up close, but it turns into one and into zero. Nothing to do there. It seems like Ferbsa was kind of the bait, but you lose the operator, then you lose the other two players.
Yeah, Darkus though still doing damage. Continues to deliver 3 kills. Needed one more to make this a 1v1, so Benji's still a player down. As he finds himself all on his lonesome, and Comey good on the angle. There's just no breathing room here for Northwood.
What impresses me the most about rounds like this one is you see Darkus going crazy. You see plays from Winthrop, but when you see the Winthrop plays, they look calm and collected, and that has been the story for every single one of those maps. Even the ones that maybe the stakes were a little more on that other side. When we got to see Split, when we got to see Icebox, it was like nothing was going on. Like everything was fine for Winthrop, and it seems to be, at least for the beginning of this map of Pearl, a lot of util, a lot of ultimates to invest, and that means a Northwood that has to be proactive once again on this eco back.
And proactive they are for out towards mid. Darkus still holds his ground. We'll see how many he's good for here in this round as he proves himself to be up amongst the best, but he's been dealt with nice and early. Windblade shower enough from moves to find the first frag. There's 4 more around the corner. Oh, okay, Ali goes fishing through the smoke, finds moves, knives gone. But the round still out of reach, the weapon's still not the best. A few ultimates, we'll see if Winthrop feel they need to utilize those. A spike just about to go halfway, but the gravity well pulls him off. The utility just been so good as A77 lines him up, takes him down, and Winthrop keep marching.
A77 back on the Sentinel role, now back on this Killjoy and getting the last couple kills. I think for Northwood and this composition that they're running, one of the biggest advantages that you can take is getting that fight towards B, playing for that retake. You have the double wall to work with, but that also means you have to push the players of Winthrop, and it becomes so difficult with the way they're holding. They have all that util, they have the Astra as well, and that is enough for the 4 rounds so far. Now on A.
Yeah, every round basically has been some sort of aggression from this Northwood squad.
Out towards slow them down.
Yeah, this slows them down, and look at this. I mean, the crunch from behind, right? The play is out towards mid. They're trying to get behind these players who made noise early in A main, but as the dust settles out towards mid, Northwood find themselves a player down. Nazi the only one to fall. And that pit's gonna be enough to keep him away from the A site.
And it's still not easy, right? For the advantage that you have, the 4v3, but the Killjoy util, the Cosmic Divide coming in, and Benji goes down.
They're so ready for it. Sitting inside a Cerebro is what it feels like. They just cannot make a wrong call just yet, from taking down Ferbsa with the op and the 2 players following earlier in the map to now understanding that that position on this B site can always be a problem. It's usually good at least once in the game, and Winthrop don't even allow it.
Yeah, and the post plan is so strong, that means everybody has to push from Northwood. Elite does that, secures 3. But Kami's still alive.
Yeah, snake bites are down. Comey gonna try his hand. 57 HP. Ali marches his way onto this B site and steals away the round from underneath Winthrop.
Something that Ali mentioned is he plays best when he's following his instinct, and that one was run it down, push long, and get those kills. The instinct was right. The round as well for Northwood. With the question of how many more like that one can they make, right? That push was forced into B because of the Viper split that we saw on the defense. The Killjoy util was strong, but then Benji got taken down, and it takes those heroic plays. But this is the grand finals. You want to have that consistency on both sides.
And the playstyle doesn't change on either side. Aggression, name of the game. The Reckoning comes through. Dipspin dealt with. Ferbsa follows. He tried to go up top, but he got ripped out of the sky. Ali, good for 2. The multi-kill for Northwood. But players down are the defense, swinging across A main. Darkus deals with the first moves. around the corner. That's the spike down, though. They have to retrieve this one, and they do so by erasing one of the defenders. And now, not even looking to back away and grab it, right? Moves, dashes forward, 2 players in close proximity, but Benji just cannot pinpoint either. Move 3 kills on the round. Winthrop find 5.
And you can tell those rounds, they mean so much for Winthrop. Right when they win, there's a little scream off that celebration, that pressure as well that they have to be feeling. Something that Moves mentioned in the interview that we got to listen to. So many of those tournaments, he gets second, he gets third, but it's never that first, that #1 spot. So every single round here of Pearl matters to him.
And Cascade out towards A main this time around, hanging on to that high tide is Ali. If there was ever a time or a round that I would expect Northwood to find their way back into the game, it would be this one, a round where everybody is sitting with that trusty 6-shooter. Benji, though, the only defender here close to this B site.
Yeah, and you're gonna depend on so much more than that. Benji is usually good for 1 at least, especially when he's holding the sights himself. Before this, and with the economy, when you want to recover a couple of those rifles, if anything, it forces a Benji 2-back half thanks to the lockdown on the other side from A77. And towards mid, a different war going on. Moves goes down.
Yeah, Benji feeling comfortable with that kill to invest a lockdown of their own. Nazi looks to get aggressive. Seekers, though, stop the bullets from coming through, and Ferbsa is just running away with it.
His last one's here behind in the push as well. No way! 77 does it again.
Wow, I mean, inside the scramble, sure, you gotta get off the spike. They've done just enough so far. Flare will look to hang on. Believe the spike went halfway, though. They can see just that. Flare seeming like he needed to make a play. And a thrifty round finds its way through into the scoreboard. And Northwood keep us within 2.
And the retakes on defense, the retakes on that B side, they take everything as well for Northwood. A timeout here coming through. Winthrop asking for it. And one of the teams that we've seen doing this very proactive when they're winning, when they're losing those rounds, when they're trying to secure the last one off the map every single time. The adaptation just seems to be everything when the stakes are that high.
And now one of the few times we've seen a Winthrop timeout after losing a round. Typically, they like to get some of that momentum going, call that timeout, and see how they can keep it moving forward. So they'll start to chat about, obviously, talks about their economy, what they can bring into this next round, but how they can deal with this Northwood defense, who seemingly... I mean, Northwood, pretty stalwart. They haven't changed up their game plan. They don't give up space for free. They're fighting for A main. They're fighting out towards mid. It's the last round, what was rocky timing. Moves goes a second too early. They give a gun to Ferbsa, and that's all Northwood needs.
But that is also scary, which is why that timeout makes sense, because Ferbsa on the map #1 and #2, he was on. And if you allow this to happen again, it can be, when we start to see things get tied up, then maybe a lead for Northwood, and something that Winthrop is trying to deny as early as possible. It's a pretty heavy stack this time around towards A, but we've seen this setup before with the 3 players on A pushing and going behind that box. It hasn't worked out. They tried it twice. None of the times worked out. This time around, supported by the flasher, at least making it seem like they're up close.
Yeah, very close here. Moves, collects one onto Ali, gives up a bit too much, but Nazi does exactly the same. So a 1-for-1 trade, but it's controller down. And Darkus is on the other side of the map, so no smoke help here for Northwood to stop this push, but I think Ferbsa is happy that he's got clear sight lines.
Another one of those runs where Winthrop, they get those trades, they cut that noise. And nothing goes on for a couple seconds. Then is a play for contact all the way on top to make it to the other side.
I mean, how terrifying that Ferbsa is just dancing around, continues to re-peek. Nobody can get him off the angle just yet.
Down A.
Comey eventually falls as well. Flare gets one back. That's dip. That drops. Cosmic Divide. Spike just on the other side. Flair gonna try his hand at picking this one up, and Darkus is just being a nuisance, dancing back and forth on the other side of the wall. Meanwhile, Benji here to receive.
30 seconds left.
And it could be a little bit of a pinch here, but the players on the defense gonna play it
Placing swamp
together for the most part, giving that respect. And I mean, A77 Flair, they are so low. The time against them.
And Winthrop didn't feel like they had the time to rotate. Northwood thought that they might, so they back away from the site. They concede it. Yeah, health is low. I mean, this shorty from range could probably find a kill on both of these players. Look at Flair, though. He is playing the long game.
Going all the way around, and no way this works. When there's 7 HP, 9 HP, this play should not work for Winthrop.
And they've got it red. They've got it red. Expecting the push through Art. Benji deals with that one. Ferbsa goes aggressive with the operator. Finds a player inside main. And just like that, 9 rounds in, Northwood bring us within 1.
The support that we've talked about for this duelist players as well was absolutely there, and maybe in a different way too, where Ferbsa was getting those kills, was going for that peak over and over again, and even though not every single of those were connecting into the damage, it was still enough to even force. It was the cosmic divide that you saw on the other side. He gets out of that position where he was stuck towards dugout, and he's able to secure even that last kill. A 4-5. A Northwood trying to make things even for this one. And a Blade Storm coming from Moobs. Once again, wanting to push towards Link. They've seen him before. There's an alarm bot as well to slow it down, at least to detect where this guy is.
And smoke goes up inside the Link. No, I mean, Moobs again, the criminal activity. It makes an appearance here on Pearl. Spots 2 players. Rips the soul from one of them, that being Benji. I mean, and Dip is just left spiraling in what just happened.
And Komi does the same thing towards B. Again, this is what this guy likes to do, all alone. And he connects it like it's nothing. But that, I mean, that's all the space towards B. The spike gonna get planted here. A 5v3 to deal with. And Darkus goes down too.
I mean, and A77 so heads up, holding this market position, catches one through the spawn.
down with.
Spots out Ali as well, so they can call out where that Harbor is playing from. Now Dip makes his self apparent. They know exactly where he's at here. He makes an appearance, finds a kill. How much more can he find? The right click goes just over the shoulder. He wants some more. Nazi gonna tuck away, but he runs right on into Ali. And this one, much like many others for Northwood, starting to look doable here. High tide slows things down for a second. A77 finds the first, Flair will find the second. Then Winthrop University grow their lead to 2.
Both of them, they go for the push. Once again, we've seen Ali doing this, but this time around, it was both. The Cove was even a possibility, but also the time running out, the possibilities not there for Northwood. As it feels like it is the first time where this kind of position doesn't go their way. And Winthrop capitalizing from this one. 6 rounds. And looking good, looking better than ever. Kami now the Viper Spit that's going to be available to post blend.
I mean, 8 to 4s, 9 3s, that's what we've seen. We've seen Northwood come back from those deficits, but we've also seen Winthrop find that winning recipe of how to close out those winning scorelines going into the half as A77, the tip of the spear, that championship glow on the Vandal here as the top frag for the server. Oh man, Util dealt with almost immediately. Benji gets information, but that's all it'll be.
Playing super far back as well. It's going to be Darkest. A player that we've seen be so patient, but Winthrop forcing him into this position can change things up. The spike going to get planted. Lockdown as it gets activated. Is the space that is trying to be respected. And I mean, it gets even more difficult, right? That Viper Spit now coming through. You know the Viper's going to be there. How many are going to be playing outside of it.
Yeah, but all angles being attacked here. Benji seemingly coming through Art. Oh, things get weird. Nazi collects one, can't find the second. A 1-for-1 trade thus far, but as you mentioned, Dryad, a pit still to work through. As the dead calm comes through, it's Winthrop out on top in way of kills, and they couldn't even figure out where they were at. They get cut down, and Winthrop find a 7.
Last round.
And on the other side, on the defense, what can you do into it? It's so difficult. First that lockdown, you have to wait for it. Then you have that Viper spid, you go in, and you don't know the players that are going to be behind playing towards main, the players that are going to be arc. It's just impossible. That pinch that makes that round go the way of Winthrop. And the defense, I would like to have one more round. I mean, look at the buy. Basically just a hero rifle here from Dip, from the IGL.
Yeah, you do still have to put respect on the Guardians. This pit will also kind of bolster the weaponry, especially that Darkest has.
They want to push this.
I mean, yeah, sure, go ahead and push it, but the decay's gonna be there. That Stinger might get the job done. As I say that, I've cursed him. Darkest gone, erased from the B site. 2 more defenders just around the corner. But again, their purchases aren't the best either. Good snake bite will keep them at bay. And the spike yet to be committed just yet. Flare and the rest of the team now finally feeling comfortable to push on. Comey takes down Ferbsa. That's a Guardian. Now deleted. And all 3 are coming from the same spot here, Dryad of Northwood. This is going to be the firing squad for Winthrop.
And you gotta know it's gonna be multiple here. Move 6 here. The first one, yes, the second, and the last one as well. 8-4 again for Winthrop.
8-4 once more. A round that they refused to give up. A lead that they refused to give up. But Dryad, we saw this story earlier in the day. They still have to find ways to close us out. So 8-4 at the half, we swap sides. And while we wait for the final halftime of this championship series, let's hear from Winthrop what a win would mean for them.
I think, you know, I can visualize ourselves going up and picking up that trophy and saying that we won, you know. I've joked with our teammates, you know, we're going to the casino after we win, guys. You know, we're going to celebrate, you know. It doesn't feel like an outlandish dream for us. Like, we can visualize ourselves lifting that trophy.
I feel like in the collegiate world, I'm already on the map. Not to have an ego or anything, but I've been playing it for so long. This win to me would just give me bragging rights against them. That's all I really want. I don't care about the outside world. I don't care what people think. I don't care what they say. I just want to know. I want them 5 to know that we beat you guys. That's what I want.
And well, hey, you're a few rounds away from doing just that. I know that for Moobs, he said the celebration would be the same, win or lose. He's still going to have a good time closing out the weekend for this squad. But what a story it would be. This doesn't happen every day, Dryad, that the underdogs, well, I guess they have a lot of movies about it, so maybe it does happen. Maybe it happens more than we expect. But for the underdogs to continue to defy all odds, not only to defy all odds and make collegiate history, but when we're looking at grand finals, we already talked about it, right? It hasn't happened outside of game changers. This right here is history upon history upon history. And nobody else gets this opportunity to do that except for Winthrop right now, and they do it 4 rounds elite.
And now it's going to depend once again on that pistol, taking that momentum as they did for the last map and see if they can turn it into what you said, the reverse sweep, the first ever grand finalist, and the ones that take that victory, that take that #1 spot that has been so difficult. And the players talked about it, right? It is bragging rights that you get against a Northwood squad that always looked undefeated, not only inside of the US, inside of Americas, but also internationally. Nobody was able to shut this team down, and it is a Winthrop that is only a couple rounds away from making it happen.
Again, we have seen this scoreline a handful of times, one of which that did eventually go the way of Northwood University. So now they get their chance to mount their attack. Ferbsa will finally get to dictate the pace here on this jet pick. So we jump back into the map, and A77's got that trusty sheriff here on this B site.
And the attacking side here for Northwood, it should be strong.
Perfect accuracy.
With the Benji as well, once again, always catching players off guard. There's gonna be the opening pick, but in the meantime, the heavy hit towards B as the spike gets planted.
Yeah, good suppressing fire there from Comey. His teammate at A77 gets tagged up by the Trailblazers, but no answer behind it. Meanwhile, Winthrop are still trying to find a way to get Benji out of this position. Up close and personal, too many on the swing, and Benji is fighting. He's playing a different game, but he's winning. And Comey's the last one standing in a 1v5.
The first one, he gets off guard. The second one, 2 players pushing him at the same time. And yet he shuts him down. That should be it. That should be the pistol here for the side of Northwood. As yeah, Comey's the last one who gets taken down. And Northwood, they get to 5 here. They talked about the pressure too. I know we mentioned, you know, what it would be for Winthrop to win this. But on the other side is for Northwood that even though they haven't been playing into those best of 5, all 5 maps, they like the pressure. They like these kind of scenarios. Dip talked about it. And so he has to be feeling good about all the mental games that you can do. The IGLing that has to go against the other side of Nazi.
And down but not out are Northwood University. They have a chance to silence many storylines as they write their own en route to be the first ever VAL champions. And this anti-eco round is a potent one. Ali brings a Guardian into it. Ferbsa with a rifle of his own. On the other side, A77 and Moobs. They have themselves some upgrades. But what can they get done with it?
The heavier stack towards the A side. 4 players. Different positions here, but trying to secure at least a couple trades into it. That's not where the spike is. That's not where the play wants to come through. It is watching that flank. It is watching where Benji and even on the other side, A77 can be.
On the defense, they're getting antsy. Stack this A site. With no noise heard just yet.
The mental games.
Yeah. Starting to set in. Now they hear the footsteps, so they'll make that call. Look at the defenders back this way. Good high tide blocks off just about every angle that you could hope for. His moves will find the first. A little bit of damage as he dashes away. He's been taken down. The classics are starting to cause problems, but the rifles do just as the rifles do. A couple of kills. Armorless was the defense, and they've been absolutely shredded as A77 spotted one. Gets shot by another. It's 3 kills for Ferbsa. And we're brought once more within 2.
Something that the desk mentioned early on and as we got into this map, and even the 4th map, was a Ferbsa that we're looking and is looking for consistency. And that has just not been the case in every single map, in every single one of these. So we see usually a strong start, but then he goes a little bit more quiet. If Northwood wants to make this comeback on the last map, it has to be a Ferbsa really stepping up. And again, he did it for that last round. He got a couple kills. But as the difficulty increases with the buy on the other side, can he keep up with what Moobs has been doing?
And a deep cascade tossed out towards A leaves Nazi thinking that maybe he can catch somebody off guard. But a nebula smoke will force Northwood the other way. They collect themselves an orb and they look to reassess.
And spread out here all across the map is the side of Northwood not wanting to go for that early presence on A that we saw early on, but definitely holding into this map control. Part of it being Ali.
And this is a good read from Northwood. They're gonna pressure this A site. 1 in main, 3 inside arts. Nazi gonna work his way back through, but it's just noise thus far. Looking to buy those rotations and hit the site elsewhere. Darkest has given his position up. Comey up close and personal, flashed up, and it's Dip that gets taken down, but Ferbsa is there on the trade. A77 will now take a duel, and it's not a great duel. Against A77, it does not feel good, but while his attention is elsewhere, Ferbsa finds a shot to the side. Now the pillar, it gives just enough to survive. Moobs will try his hand, but Ferbsa starts to run away with it once more. Flare has been clutch. But with Ferbsa still alive, this one not feeling too doable as he steps his way out of the Viper util. Darkest takes him down, and we've been brought within one.
Big round there, making that side of Winthrop a little bit more comfortable with that slow round, where you see some sort of active presence on A towards mid, but this time around a bit more quiet, and that allows Forbsa to go massive. The player that I just talked about needs to keep this consistency, and now needs it to make things even. Two Marshals seems like it's gonna be the buy here for Winthrop on the defense. And on the B side, there's a chance.
Blades popped. Cascade out on a block. Some of the angles somehow moves, survives from damage for far too long. He'll eventually be tagged up, but he hasn't been taken down. It's Marshall's here. Forbsa's gone. Those kills are traded back immediately.
I've got your trail.
And now there's nobody else up close. It is only Komi making that rotation from Ling. Gets spotted by the Seekers too, who has to wait just for a second. The wall as well from the harbor makes it so much harder.
Yeah, the high tide making it impossible. So a few more seconds will be taken off the clock, courtesy of that harbor util. One player spotted. Dip gonna try and confirm this information. A77 also noted on his angle. Flare, the first one to give himself up. He'll be taken down by Ali, who scoops up 3 kills on the round, and we are tied up at 8.
A Northwood on the attacking side that should be favored. But in the defense one, looking to get things going on this defensive, and it's just not been easy. I mean, you look at it 4 rounds in a row, and an 8-4 that we see once again has been, what, 3 maps with an 8-4, and a Northwood in 2 of them that is able to come back, make things even. Now the question is, does it stay this way, or do they actually take the lead and close it out?
We're finally seeing some of the Jet presence, or what is supposed to be the Jet presence, right? You have a Jet on your team, you expect the operator to make an appearance. And Moobs has brought that one onto the server, but it's on the wrong side of the map early here in round 17.
So it's gonna be a little bit more of what we saw earlier,
got the
where
spike.
there's a fight happening on A, making sure nobody's pushing, and then Ali just stays there playing, and making sure that that is not gonna be the case. Going back to this A side, there's 2 stars.
And this defense
Only one on heart. Yeah.
getting antsy, dancing around the map here. Now Komi knows that he is in a tough spot, forced away. Reckoning comes down once more. Nano Swarms forces him off the site completely. He wants to find himself a bit of spam damage, but it's just not safe enough to do so.
And the Reckoning goes down, but the Spike is also gonna go down. Komi comes back. Oh no way, Winthrop does this!
Komi comes back. Winthrop comes back. A huge pickup there. But as you mentioned, Komi trying to stall for as long as possible and picking up arguably one of the largest kills you could get. Forbsa has been taking control of this game. Komi finding that one allows for the rest of the squad to get the job done.
And it was just in time, right? You see the Reckoning, you know the hit is gonna come through on that A side. Komi is forced back because of that ultimate, but when he has to go for the swing, that is more than enough time for the rest of Winthrop to be ready to support them and secure it. Once again, the lead by Winthrop.
Back and forth we go. If game 5 wasn't enough, how about a game 5 that continues to stay within a couple of rounds? Winthrop, they do have themselves the lead, but a bye still in the hands, and economy looking good for Northwood going into the next couple of rounds. So it's going to take a second to be able to create that gap. We'll see if it's even possible here in this round.
And one of the benefits of that composition that Northwood has is that B site. But that's not something that we've seen in the last couple of rounds, and so Winthrop are more than happy to take advantage of it. Heavy Killjoy util, and Astra Star as well to deal with on A. He wants to come in and we want to contest it. And that just means the play could slow down, but there's 50 seconds. And a Dark is inside of the Viper's pit of Komi.
But a one-sided approach for now. Darkest hasn't started to explore just yet. Trailblazer to try and clear out A77, spam through the wall. Eventually, it's Benji to find the kill, not Ferbza. With one player dug out thus far. High Tide goes up once more. Koval also stops some of the spam as Comey gives up the ultimate willingly and finds that kill on the Darkest. Meanwhile, Ferbza going into the back line, but he's been dealt with himself. But Ollie and Dip do their best Ferbza impression, and they continue to walk forward. And now Comey has to try and do it all on his lonesome. Has a bit of util to play with, but this one feels like a tall mountain to climb. A tap on the spike, expecting a push through the snake bite. First up is Benji, and down goes Comey.
Benji, the first one and the only needed to close out that round for Northwood. And yeah, so something that I mentioned, right? The hit that we've seen towards A in multiple scenarios, and it's not easy. First, they have to wait for the Killjoy util. They back tap, they go into it again. And that play, that becomes a lot more difficult on the defense. It starts to get red, that A77 setup. Comey as well playing all the way back. And the two players that, especially if you are positioned towards dugout, there's nowhere to run over there.
Nowhere to run. We talked about the implications of that round in way of Northwood's economy. Should they lose, they would still be able to buy. Well, they did not lose. They ended up winning that round, and that puts Winthrop in an awkward spot in terms of their economy, as the knives were used just a round ago by Moobs, who brings a Marshall into this one, and it's not the best across the board for the rest of the team.
There's a patience here, and the duo that we get to see for the last map, right? A Ferbza and a Moobs that are coming up with those individual plays. They're trying to be the one difference maker, the one that is not only getting the opening kill, but securing it all the way till the end, getting those clutches, because that's what is taking between the two to make things even, to be on a 9-9 on our map number 5 of the Grand Finals.
A timeout needed, and a timeout taken. And the call for the investment is a minor one. Moobs puts down the Marshall, pulls out the Sheriffs. That flash will reveal a player peeking B-Long, and the dog will reveal a player pushing B-Long, so Moobs is forced to give up his spot.
I'm gonna pose. Player's gonna get spotted. Actually gets that against Darkest. No way.
Wow.
The classic just does that, I guess.
And Darkest of all people. I mean, Darkest is the guy that does things like that. But Flare finds a way. Lockdown used. Again, defenders a little disconnected from the site. Flare gonna opt into the Cosmic Divide here. It's gonna cut off the team for a second, but once more, I mean, the Northwood way is to continue to push forward. Ali grabs one. Benji with the transfer for 2. Now Nazi and A77 gonna try their darndest, but they don't have a whole lot to go off of here. Nazi's gone. A77, Sheriff in hand, 1 pip away from the lockdown.
30
through way
seconds
of
left.
kills or deaths. This ultimate will be online, and that spike is headed so far away. Respect given to the Killjoy with the Sheriff in his hands.
Full respect to A77, the only player left, and the one towards A. That means a call for the spike to be planted towards B. In a 1v3, it seems like they're gonna mitt him towards long.
And timing here, 2 players on the swing. Oh my goodness, that got scary. We've already seen A77 find a collateral kill. He was just around the corner from another.
That was too close for comfort for sure, but a Northwood that is able to secure it. I mean, you look at the rounds that these guys on the attacking side have been able to get. This is where this composition thrives the most, and it is usually towards B, but they've shown greatness on the A side as well, on mid. And they take the lead. They get to double digits.
Get to double digits late in the game. They've got themselves a lead. And it seems like this 1-round lead usually is all Northwood needs to close it out. Lockdown available on the opposite side. Out towards B-Long we go. 5 players strong from Northwood.
all 5 players. Only the Killjoy U2 that's gonna hold that play down, though it does get deactivated, but it doesn't matter. Nobody pushing from behind. It is aggressive on B.
And not fully convinced that this play is headed out this way. Finally, the rotations start to come through. Comey the first one to be dealt with, and with that, Darkest will plop down the pit. A77 gonna try and force him off the site and away from the Viper util, but it seems like they just want to fight forward, look to deal with the lockdown, and they do so successfully. Lockdown destroyed. Ooh, but look at this. Winthrop move starting to go huge as Darkest stands inside his pit. Spike down. He'll look to pick that one up. Sends the spray back. Darkest pulls out his knife. This guy is a madman. Ammunition to work with. A pit that still stands. A spike in hand. And he's headed.
Is he?
Is he?
30 seconds left.
Because that was the read that Winthrop had. That was the read that Flare had. Maybe backing up from the B side where the spike seemed like it was almost planted and it never got planted. But no, it is back to B. The Viper spit still alive for just a second.
A spike planted anywhere in this pit Darkest could be. You see that decay starting to set in. They exchanged shots early. So both players worse for wear. 36 HP, flare off the angle. Darkest gets it done. A 4K and the round. Northwood keep pushing.
And they get to 11 thanks to Darkest and that 1v1. Played so smart. Cuts out, no, keeps that Viper spit alive for just a second. Considers that possibility and goes back into it with the best angle possible. And even using that Astra Star to your own advantage. Oh, they're feeling good. They're feeling pretty good.
They're feeling, and you know, Darkest was the player a few maps ago who sat a little longer at his PC.
Yeah.
He kind of reveled in the moment in understanding what was about to happen and then coming back when it matters most. And much like we've seen from Comey, we get it from Darkest.
Scary.
And it doesn't stop there. From Darkest, from Ferbsa to Darkest, now back to Ferbsa. He gets us started in another round.
A77 has been good for the share of kills, but completely alone gets taken down. And this is maybe the confidence that Northwood was waiting for. The Reckoning gets used.
Yeah, Reckoning forces everybody off. High Tide keeps him at bay. A few knives used there to deal with the Prowlers. Nightfall available. Wall goes down. Flare gonna be forced forward. He's been taken down. Erased his moves. Plays the long con. Benji ready for that one. Nazi gonna try his hand with this trusty stinger in his back pocket. Benji's been dealt with. Ben dug out. But Ferbsa, 3 kills to his name. Wants to find a 4th. Dip will find the 5th. No ace, but who cares? It's the round. It's map. It's series. It's championship point here for Northwood.
And this. Only one more that is gonna be needed for Northwood to keep this streak of always getting that first spot every single tournament they go to. A team that is always unstoppable, and a timeout to make sure that is gonna happen.
Calm the nerves. There's still a chance with a buy and 2 ultimates available for Winthrop to find their way back into this, but you have to think Northwood, outside of it being a map 5, they've been taking the distance. In this series alone, they've been down 4-8, and they found a map win back in map 2, and now they look to do it again when it matters.
When it matters the most is when you want to close out those maps for Northwood. And it's been insane the second half. This composition benefits the attacking side, but this is, again, something new for them. Only one round of Winthrop has been able to get on this defensive side. A full retake, and what are the chances of seeing that? It's got to be a complete adaptation to this playstyle. They're leaving this B side for retake in so many scenarios, and even before that retake takes place, it is sometimes one of the players getting taken down. A77 going aggressive for some of them. Comey trying to get a hero play. This is a time where the team has to play together. That Winthrop that we know, that we saw in the previous maps.
And we'll see what changes out of the timeout with the Nightfall. And the Blades in the back pocket. Moves has had himself a stellar performance. Almost found a way to slow Northwood down just a round ago, but Northwood refused to lose.
And this is what I mentioned, right? The only 2 players that are playing on that B side is Comey and A77. Sometimes there's only one left behind, and he's even good for one, but that's it. Can they back up, or can they get those kills before the Chaos comes in?
And what does this look like, right? That High Tide has done so much to keep this team at bay, but A77 gets us started. 2 huge kills, still life yet. And Winthrop as A77 will find one more. 3 kills away of the Killjoy, who single-handedly locks down this B site, wants to find some more. It moves over the shoulder as a 4K will escape him. Can Benji get it done? One more kill to his name, but Winthrop hang on.
And Winthrop that has to take that one step at a time, one round at a time, take us all the way to overtime on this map number 5 of the Grand Finals, trying to secure it that way.
Finished.
With the backs against the wall, that is when we get to see these kind of plays. A77 going massive into it, and they answer that one question of how this hold into B was going to look like. That means probably not the same version, right, of that play from Northwood. Strike on the floor, no intention to go fast.
And no chance at resetting this Northwood economy. So it is going to be, I mean, a bruiser of a battle this round and the next. If we get to see that overtime, Trailblazer doesn't spot a whole lot. Ali hoping to get something through the toxic screen, but for the defense, nobody home.
And Northwood that on this round,
I got the spike.
need to give that respect, if anything, to Winthrop. Winthrop that this time around playing pretty far back, with the first one to make contact, potentially being Komi towards Sling. 50 seconds.
And Flash confirms players on this A site, but no commitment just yet from Northwood. On util about to expire. Komi hearing this.
The plan is here in that B. Well, Lee is already positioned there. First, they're gonna have to deal with Komi and A77. Massive players that are able to hold this down. They did it that last round. Can they do it again?
Yeah, wall is up. Ali not spotted just yet. Now taken down by Nazi. There's the spike as well. Winthrop are here to defend. They refuse to give up. And they'll take us to the last round of regulation in flawless fashion.
As flawless as it can be, in the play read perfectly by the side of Winthrop. 11 rounds to 12. And Northwood that, again, never felt this position before. No matter the experience, Tier 2, no matter the experience that they had internationally in that Raptor Campus clutch, this is a scenario that it is the first time that they are experiencing. And map number 5, potentially an overtime on the line. And Ferbsa wanting to play with it.
Ferbsa feeling like he's got the winning recipe. On our screen here, we can see he is comfortably sitting with an operator in his hands on the attacking side. Now, not yet committed as we jump away to a timeout. I mean, how do you calm yourself down in a situation like this? In having this operator, it could mean a lesser buy for the rest of the team. Look, at Darkus has invested so much into this one, and the only thing that they can give in response, unless Ferbsa has some util to sell, oof, okay. Never mind. Not cool. No Chemical X. No Powerpuff Girls. Ferbsa just gonna go back to the tried and true. I think something more importantly to talk about, though, is Benji with that lockdown. A huge piece of utility.
Massive, and it's gonna be only one needed on the other side for A77. A player that we've seen get some aggressive positions that might enable him to get this ultimate. Then you get to see on the defense is that delay that was always effective with this ultimate alone to get Northwood uncomfortable, and you want to do it in this last round.
Cloudburst down, Flash just on the other side, moves, pops the blades, forced to back away. Prowler will confirm, operator now noted as it rings through the cascade wall.
You should run.
Nobody home, lockdown used, the defense now gonna be forced to back away.
I've got your
Oh,
trail.
and it's a play as well with the Seekers, forcing everybody back in every single way possible. It is an A side that wants to be the side of Northwood.
Both moves goes up top. Darkest on the flank. Northwood starting to piece it together. 3 remain. A77, Comey in moves. Separate them from lifting the trophy. The time ticks away. 1 shot left in the operator before being forced to reload. A77 finds one. That's Versa gone. He does it again for a second. The backstab from Comey starts to collect. And then a 2v2. They have to start to push the pace. Snake bites will force dip away. They need to find Benji inside. The cloudburst moves will go. Benji hangs on! And Northwood have done it. They've been pushed to the brink, but they refuse to give up. And Northwood are your first ever VAL champions.
On map number 5 that it takes in a 13-11 to close it out, but Northwood once again taking that number 1 spot. It's a team that cannot be stopped. They face every single kind of adversity for this match, losing to maps, almost getting a reverse swept, but they come in and they play out when they need to.
When you come from the king, you better not miss. Winthrop didn't miss.
No.
This was not easy for Northwood. They've been drug across the finish line, battered and bruised, but they cement themselves. Outside of this, it could all have been for naught, and it almost was, but they get it done at the end of the day. 56-1 since the inception of this team, and that 56 victory means the champions.
The 56 with the core, and like you said, with the champions, the first ever VAL champions. This is going to the history books for these guys. Players that they talk about, they admire, but they are the ones being admired by everybody watching, all the fans, but even the family, the friends, the enemies as well that they had to play against, supporting them and watching this go the way of Northwood, a team that always proves they cannot be stopped.
Cannot be stopped. The stage shared by both of these teams, but Northwood continue to reign supreme. Your first ever VAL champions, Northwood University.
And it's a celebration that feels good for every single one of them. The experience that this team has, and the combination of every single one of these players and the coaching staff, the university together, makes an unstoppable squad.
They've done a lot, Dryad. These guys have a pretty good pedigree behind them, but nothing like this. Being able to take the trophy home after such a dominant year. And this is a series that they needed, right? You go the entire year being untested. You think, okay, well, sure, Northwood, yeah, are just the best team. Finally, we get a solid victor, a solid opponent, I should say, standing across from them, right? The kings of the East. But what is a king to a god, Dryad? Northwood proved themselves more than collegiate kings, but collegiate gods.
And a Winthrop on the other side, that has to be said, they made the most improvements out of anybody in VAL. They made it so far, but against Northwood, it's a different story. Against Northwood, it takes just a little bit more, that extra mile to take them down. And like you said, experiencing this for the first time, not only being the first ever VAL champions, but also going into a best-of-5 series, going all 5 maps, and being able to secure it. Now, you talk about the experience, they also have this now.
Yes, they also have this. They needed this to be tested and to come out tried and true on top once more. Again, this victory means so much more. We heard from the players as well, obviously, what it means to them. From international success to now this one here, as we've got Degon waiting on stage. Ferbsa beside him for our first interview.
Thank you very much, guys. Once again, congratulations to Northwood. I'm joined by duelist Ferbsa, everyone. Give him a hand.
Is that it? You go?
All right, Ferbsa. That 56th win, right? We've talked about 55-1, a big deal about that. That 56th win took everything. How do you feel right now?
I mean, I feel amazing. I mean, we've been practicing a lot more than we usually do, and just to have it like pay off and get this big win, I mean, it means the world to me and my team.
Talk to me about going up 2-0 and then the slow slide away down to how many rounds it took. Talk to me about going through some adversity in this round.
Usually when we go down really early and we come back, we call that pull into Northwood. 2 maps in a row, we didn't do that, but the last one, we knew we had to come back. I mean, we had to focus up, and we usually don't ever get down when we're like down rounds or anything.
Last thing here, Winthrop wasn't the team that everyone expected to be here. They came in, they gave you a hell of a run. What did you think of their squad this weekend?
I mean, I've always had so much respect for Winthrop. I mean, Moobs is he's a really good friend of mine. I mean, I'm friends with all of them. I mean, we've been hanging out this the whole trip, and I mean, I'm honestly, I mean, they played so well. They played so well. I mean, they really made us I mean, it was scary.
Very close there to the end. All right.
Yeah.
Final question. You've won Campus Clutch. You now are the first ever, and will never be taken away from you, VAL champions. What's next for this Northwood squad?
I think we're going to be trying to compete and qualify for VCT Challengers. I think that's what's next on the horizon. So we're going to look to move. We're going to stay in collegiate, but also look to qualify for that as well.
All right, well, man, you got it done this weekend. Congratulations on being the first ever VAL champion, collegiate champions. Let's send it on over to the opposite side of the stage, where we got another interview waiting for Northwood.
Thank you so much, D-Gun. I'm standing with 2 of the Northwood members, Ali and Benji. First of all, guys, huge congratulations, you guys. This must be a surreal feeling. Now, Ali, 2 years ago, you were actually on the Winthrop roster, and now here you are today on the opposite side, the team that took them out of the grand finals. And 2 years ago, you tweeted this: Riot would actually profit so hard off CVAL, they already have a C lull. This must be a surreal feeling because you technically predicted this moment.
Yeah, back when I played for Winthrop, I mean, I remember thinking, at the time it was just for the money. That's why I went to Northwood, just for the scholarship. But I remember thinking, what if it came down to us and Winthrop, Northwood versus Winthrop in the finals? And, if we lost, then I'd definitely be regretting my decision of going to Northwood. But I'm glad I stayed. We got the win. And good job, Riot, for listening to CVAL.
Yeah, you're the reason why all this is happening. And Benji, there was a time where you weren't sure where you were going to go, and I heard a fateful conversation with former Tier 2 teammate, still now your teammate, Dip, brought you actually to Northwood. So you're standing here today. You got the final 2 kills in the final round of the CVAL Championship. I mean, I can't even imagine. Walk me through those final 2 kills when you saw both of those players.
I saw half my team die in art. I was like, what's going on? So I knew something had to happen. So when I saw the Viper ult, I knew I had to go for a play. And getting those last 2 kills means the world to me. It was the greatest feeling.
I can't even imagine. For both of you guys, you are now not only global champions, but you're also the undisputed national champions here with the CVAL win. Now, let's fast forward a little bit, because there's a team on the come up, and I'm sure both of you guys know who I'm talking about. It's Team Maryville. They're one of the collegiate GOATs. They have one of the best programs for CLOL. I'm looking at next year because they are putting up a super team for VALORANT. Do you guys have any thoughts? We'll start with you, Ali.
I think it's just, no offense, just a bunch of washed up players.
No way.
But I mean, like First said over there, Northwood is going to start grinding together as a team. So we will. We should easily be stronger than them, without a doubt.
I'm happy to hear. And any thoughts from you, Benji?
They're definitely all good players for sure. So we'll be looking out for them. I'll be excited for our rivalry in the North. Finally, some competition up there, but we'll see.
I love to hear it, guys. You guys seem like a strong roster. Thank you guys so much. We're going to throw things to another interview. We've got Gompers with the final 2 players on Northwood.
Thank you so much, Sully. I am joined here by Dip and Darkus. These 2 players obviously performed very, very well. The IGL and, of course, the second brains behind the operation. So I have a question for you, Darkus, coming up first. You guys came into this, obviously, with your head held high. You look like a thug right there, but you guys came into this with your head held high. And my first question, coming into, obviously, this whole entire tournament, you did not think that they were going to make it this far, Winthrop. So what are your expectations now? What were they blown out?
My expectations of Winthrop?
Yeah.
I think, honestly, they surprised me a lot. I honestly thought we should still have 3-0'd them, I'm going to be honest. I think we let off the gas. We got lazy with it. Third map, we weren't playing together. We did our own things. Overall, I think they have improved a lot, though. Definitely above my expectations of what I thought we were getting ourselves into.
Yeah.
I think they'll better than Fisher. Most definitely better than Fisher.
Okay. I mean, at least you apologized and you took it back. So, Dip, obviously, as the IGL, I want to ask you, going into this tournament, you guys said that you don't practice at all. So I'm more confused and concerned. But because coming into this tournament, obviously, the competition seemed like it was a bit harder. Were there different preparations now?
Yeah, leading up to CVAL, actually leading up to Red Bull, I think was the first time we actually practiced a little bit. Since then, we've managed to fit in a few scrims here and there. But besides that, we usually just use the tournaments we compete in as practice and our time to test things we want to try, new comps, things of that sort. And I don't know, I mean, it's worked for us.
Okay, but it works for them. So I don't know. The top champions of worldwide, pretty much the best collegiate players. So I do want to ask for you, Darkest, as well. What do you? I'm so sorry. What do you think went wrong on Icebox? Because you guys had the momentum was shot. Something really wasn't working.
So Icebox hasn't really been in the pool much, so we haven't really gone around to even practicing or even just playing it in general. And if you keep moving this mic, I swear to God. So I just think once we shifted out of split, something we've actually usually played, we weren't used to anything they were doing. They kept solo swinging, and it got the better of us, honestly.
Okay, well, that's honest. That's nice. All right. So you guys are walking away as the official champions again, might I add, before your summer starts, because you guys actually just finished college, I'm pretty sure, for this semester. I don't know how college works. I'm not even in college, to be honest with you. But what are you planning to do later this summer as a celebration for your victory?
More VALORANT.
Okay, well.
Yeah, more VALORANT, new computer.
Oh, okay.
Maybe stream a little bit, start getting into that space. Yeah.
Something to do during your summer, watching Dip stream, maybe Darkest.
There we go.
If you stream as well.
Maybe.
Okay, well, do you guys have any last words maybe to tell the audience that's watching you right now?
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. Thank you, man. Thank you, guys. Shout out to Riot. You guys have hosted an amazing event, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to, travel here and play a game we all love and enjoy.
Yeah, Darkest.
He said everything I had, I'm going to be honest. If you keep shoving that mic.
My bad, man. My bad.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
As for you guys, we're going to actually go back to the desk, and we're going to be able to meet Degon there with our analysts.
Awesome.
All right, thank you very much. Again, Northwood University, it took 5 maps, it took a bajillion rounds, but they get it done. They complete their quest to being the best team in collegiate VALORANT ever so far, right? I mean, young history, but they've been dominant every step of the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they have, you say young history, but they've also been playing together for so long. And that is what really comes through when we see now this long series where it goes a distance. That is when the experience, but also the synergy that the squad has together comes through.
I'll be honest, I'm excited because they said they're actually going to practice and play together. So we could get this crazy, Super Saiyan 7 Northwood going into next year. And, Ollie was talking trash about Maryville. It's got me so excited. They've not only denied history with Winthrop, but they've also cemented themselves as, at the moment, the best team to ever play collegiate.
Right. And one of the exciting things that I liked from the interviews, Ferbsa saying, hey, we're going to take a look at the Open and see if we can work our way on up into the VCT circuit. You always wonder in traditional sports, hey, could the best team in college football beat the worst team in professional or find a way on in? Well, now we might get this opportunity here with Northwood as they are the champions. They've won everything in front of them. And when we go back at this series, it's the first time where they were pushed for, by a team that didn't know how to give up in Winthrop and found a way back on in.
In the tournament scores that the squad has, they won to 11 tournaments since 2022. 9 of them, they got that first spot. They got that #1 spot. But like you said, they never were pushed to 5 maps. And that was definitely something that I was scared about for many different reasons. One of them being that Pearl, where before it was a Furbsa playing Raze, now he goes back into this Jet, and how the energy was going to be feeling, because we saw the emotions for some of them. It was getting scary for Northwood.
This was like the first time I've ever seen Northwood be scared. Like, and I've watched these guys since their campus clutch, even before that in Dallas with their regional national finals. This is the first time that Northwood were actually scared. It felt like, you know, it was only a matter of time, Drive, before it felt like this team was going to be pushed to the limit. And that's why I'm in consensus. Like, they came into a map pool where Icebox was an unknown quantity. This was a Winthrop that had polished themselves, refined themselves, and looked a lot better off of their Fisher win. So it felt like, of all the days, this was the only day where I could, you know, plausibly see them losing a series.
Yeah.
I would push back a little bit. I don't know if Northwood felt scared. I'd say stiff, right?
Nervous.
But, you know, I was looking at, you know, some of the player cards that said, as long as we're joking around, I know my teammates have my back and they'll be able to bounce back. That's what Furbsa said earlier. And you saw in the rounds that they won, there was this, you know, like, calm, cool smugness. They're like, hey, we got this. We know we got this. We know we can do this. We will get this. Whereas on the side of Winthrop, it was the roller coaster ride, baby. We had the highest of highs and clutches. And, you know, we've got the moves cam of like when things weren't going well. I mean, I'm not sure how much of that you saw in the play there.
I got to see it. And I think it is one of those moments that leaves you thinking, because when it goes a distance, yeah, we talked about Northwood on one side, making the series go their way even after going to 5 maps. But on the other side, you need to talk about how much it hurts when it's this close, right? At 13-11, almost going to overtime, and it just slips away like that.
And I think the superstar moves is like, he was great this entire event so far, but today the pressure I think got to him, and it's going to suck for this Winthrop team because they're going to constantly ask themselves, what if we did this differently? What if this happened? And that's something that I think is going to sit with them, but also it's going to go with them into the next year as well.
Yeah, I mean, we could do the Tanner analysis and be like,
if they had just won that one round
there on map 5, maybe we go to overtime. We know, who knows what would happen. But I mean, again, it goes back to the fight that squad has, and also the class that Northwood had throughout the tournament, throughout this year, throughout becoming an organization and being now the ones with the target on their back as the elite program in collegiate Valorant.
And that's the thing, this is a team that has always been the greatest, but it was not in paper. So now they have it, and you see how other teams, including Winthrop, we're making those improvements. We're looking better and better. I mean, Winthrop goes without saying the most improved team that we saw since the beginning. But, I mean, it's going to get closer and closer, and there's going to be a point where Northwood are not going to be able to stay on top anymore. And so you want to see that evolution from everybody else. But in the meantime, it's going to be a Northwood sitting pretty with a throne.
On stage now, you see from our college championship week, both champions from League of Legends and Valorant. Good seeing Coach Alleram hold the trophy there for University of St. Thomas. And again, what a week of pageantry, what a week of competition, and what a week of tradition that we're now starting to create here in the side of Valorant. It's been almost, 8 years of collegiate League of Legends. Great to add Valorant on there and celebrate the excellence between both of these organizations. The back-to-back champions in League of Legends, University of St. Thomas, joining only UBC, led by Bob Chin at the time back in 2015 and 2016, as the only school to go back-to-back in League of Legends, and for the first time ever crowning our Valorant collegiate champions, Northwood University, their dominant run, 56-1 to close out the year. Just a great spectacle and a great weekend, or a great week to bring all of the universities together.
You know, I would like to add real quick that technically Northwood are 56-0 with this full 5-man roster, just to add to their legacy a little bit more, D-God.
All right, an undefeated roster right there again. Great to have the champions on stage. It has been a hell of a last 5 days. It's been a heck of a 2022 and 2023 season. And we are so glad to have been able to celebrate with you all at home. Would be out without the support of you guys, without the support of the RSAA, and of course, every single person that decided to log in, go to the Rift, get on the maps for Valorant, and play. So on behalf of myself, the casters, every single player here this weekend, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching. Once again, Northwood University, the first ever collegiate Valorant champions.
from Midland, Michigan hold titles domestically and internationally, and they're looking to lift the trophy here today. It's Northwood University. They rocked the collegiate scene just a few days ago, and they're here to rock the hill once more. It's Winthrop University. Can Winthrop continue their Cinderella story, or will Northwood reign supreme? Let's find out as the first ever VAL championship starts right now. Dash on in. Ooh, okay. A77 to scoop up the first, and the operator's been dealt with. Good reveal as Darkness drops down. The shorty will be just enough, but he's stuck on the reload. Ollie there to bail him out. Now the 1v1 with 4 HP. Yeah, Dip's still here. Rolling Thunder around the corner as well. Undetected and unaffected. Northwood finding kills out of absolutely nowhere, like pulling a rabbit from a hat. But here comes Comey, a magician himself, getting it done. Classic once more. Still ammunition left in the magazine. Unfortunately, the knives have been dealt with. We're hoping to get a bit more. I mean, Winthrop gets another one on the way out. 2 kills. The way of the raise here for Northwood. Flair, though, fights his way in. Oh, no, it gets weird for a second.
3K mate.
I mean, yeah, it's getting scary, though, until Nazi finally gets his hands on the round. He'll find 3 of them. As Convezy continues to push his way on through. Beautiful ultimate. Beautiful shot, so moves. I mean, moves 1 of the 3, but look at this orbital strike used beautifully, and Benji there to capitalize off of it. The backside Ferpsa still stands, and sure, he's playing the smokes, but this guy can click heads. Yeah, Ollie getting a little crazy with it. Flash comes out, barrel spot, and no way, Darkest walks away.
And that's not where Northwood is at all.
Spike down. Only 1 defender here. Oh.
And man, Darkest was feeling it for this one is the ace. And a Spectre here for Dip.
Oh my God! Stones brought into this round. The drop down, the backstab is there. There's the Molly kill as well.
And the spike, yeah, it didn't get planted. They want to take these fights first. Flair gets 2 actually on this killjoy.
Way out of a dangerous spot, then he does so he takes a kill with him. Ollie there for the trade, but Nazi gets one right back. And the health is low, surely not winnable for Northwood. And that's exactly the case. Nazi, big for 4. Yeah, Darkest though still doing damage. Continues to deliver. Wow.
Yeah, and the post plan is so strong. That means everybody has to push from Northwood. Elite does that, secures 3. Goes down, but the spike is also gonna go down. Comey comes back. Oh no way, Winthrop does this.
They need to find Benji inside. The cloud burst moves will go. Benji hangs on.